With Venezuela in the midst of total chaos tonight, socialist dictator Nicolas Maduro could be days away from surrendering. And for many, that can't come soon enough. Venezuela's socialist dictatorship is starving its people. Literally, there's no food. No food. The average Venezuelan has lost more than 20 pounds in the last year. There's looting of food trucks along with no electricity or barely any. The money in Venezuela is totally worthless because inflation is out of control, now predicted to top 10 million% in the coming year. Earlier today, the Venezuelan Supreme Court ruled that Maduro will stay in power. Of course, did they have a choice? I mean, there's a reason so many Venezuelan Supreme Court justices are living in exile right now. Meanwhile, Julio Borges, who runs the center-right anti-Nicolas Maduro party and was effectively kind of like their Speaker of the House before having to flee the country himself to save his own life, says Hugo Chavez, Nicolas Maduro and their brand of socialism is to blame for his country's failings. By the way, there's a little message in there, right, for all of us here in America as we watch Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez rise to superstardom in the Democratic Party. Right now, Mr. Julio Borges, former president of the National Assembly, joins me live from Colombia, where he now lives in exile. Welcome, Assemblyman Borges. So good to have you here.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you for the opportunity.
The Supreme Court now coming out saying, yeah, they're not going to recognize Juan Guaido, who's now the leader of the National Assembly, your former position. They're not going to recognize him as president. So what do they think? Maduro's still in charge then?
Well, I think, Tricia, this announcement from the Supreme Court today is a very clear sign from a weak government. It's not a sign for a strong government. I think they're trying to behave as if they have a power, an institutional power. But what is important today is not the sentence from the Supreme Court, but the people that right now, as we speak, Tricia, right now in Caracas, is in huge demonstration all over the west of Caracas where the poor people live. That's a very important issue, and I feel is a huge symbol for change in Venezuela.
Let me ask you about being in exile. Nicolas Maduro, obviously not a fan of yours. In fact, sir, he accused you of recently orchestrating a drone attack against him. So I'll just ask you now, did you have anything to do with that?
No, but as you may know, Tricia, Nicolas Maduro has said like 20 times that there has been different attacks against him in order to kill him or different coup d'etat. So there is a new news. It's something that he used to use as the Cuban regime used to say that there is a permanent conspiration against its leaders. So we are concerned about that.
Yeah, he's in a very paranoid state now, arresting 27 members of the military who tried to protest against him today. Meanwhile, you, sir, referenced the protests in the streets of Caracas tonight. We know that the people are planning even bigger demonstrations, a very big one in the streets this Wednesday. How hopeful are you that the Maduro regime will be overthrown?
Well, I really believe that we will see on Wednesday a huge demonstration. We will see millions of people, literally, not only in Caracas, but all over Venezuela. And it's a very important symbol because you have to be aware, Tricia, that we are fighting against fear. We are fighting against violence. And people, it's breaking this fear, it's overcoming this fear. And right now it's in the street asking only for democracy, asking for freedom. And we really appreciate the support from the Trump administration in following our situation, particularly Mr. Bolton and Mr. Pompeo. And we expect more international pressure in order to have an outcome in Venezuela.
I think there are a lot of people that would like to see you guys have the opportunity for democracy there. in your country. So we wish you very well. And, sir, we're going to stay on this story. We're watching very carefully these developments there in Venezuela tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.